Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I never imagined a few careless words could change my life forever. My name is Rachel, I'm 32, and for the past 6 years I've been with Mark. We've had our ups and downs, but I always thought our bond was unbreakable. He was calm where I was chaotic, thoughtful where I was impulsive, and somehow I believed that no matter what I did he would never leave. But I was wrong. It all started at a small gathering at his friend Tom's house. It was casual, a few drinks, music playing softly in the background, and a handful of old friends catching up. I was laughing, flirting lightly with jokes, feeling the thrill of the night, when the conversation inevitably drifted toward relationships and men. Someone asked a simple, offhand question. Who's the real alpha in your relationship? I laughed and, without thinking, said, Mark? Oh please. Half the time I wonder if he even knows which end of the conversation he's on. Honestly, if we were ever attacked, I'd probably have to save him myself. The room erupted into laughter. Everyone laughed. I laughed. I thought it was harmless, funny even. Mark, who had just walked into the room, froze for a split second. I noticed his tight jaw, the subtle shift in his expression, but I brushed it off. He smiled politely, nodded, and picked up a drink. I assumed he was joking too, that he'd get over it. After all, he always did. But as the night went on, I started to notice a distance in his gaze. He wasn't angry, at least not openly. He wasn't sulking, but something had changed. There was a quiet tension between us, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but impossible for me to ignore. I didn't catch on immediately. I kept teasing, poking fun at him in front of Tom and the others. Come on, look at him struggling with that bottle, I whispered to Lisa, his friend's wife. What's he going to do in a fight, throw his wallet at someone? I thought it was playful, harmless. Mark smiled faintly, but I could tell it wasn't real. The party ended and I expected the usual. Him shrugging it off, a laugh, a light-hearted conversation on the ride home. Instead, he didn't say a word. He grabbed his coat, walked out to the car, and drove us home in silence. I tried small talk, jokes, even a gentle nudge about how funny the night had been. He responded with monosyllables, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Finally, I asked, Are you seriously mad at me over a joke? My voice had a hint of exasperation. It's not just the joke, he said, calm, too calm. It's the way you talk about me like I'm less than I am. Do you even respect me? I blinked, stunned. Of course I do. I love you, Mark. We tease each other all the time. No, he said, pulling into the driveway, you don't tease. You put me down. You make me the punchline, and I've tolerated it for years. I can't anymore. And with that, he got out of the car and walked inside. I expected him to come around the next morning like he always did. But he didn't. When I grabbed my coffee, trying to start a conversation, he looked at me across the kitchen table, his face unreadable. I don't think this is working anymore, he said softly. My heart dropped. What do you mean? I asked, confused. I mean, he replied, I'm done being the man who gets laughed at, belittled, and taken for granted. I deserve better. I felt a mix of disbelief and panic. You're leaving over a joke? I demanded, my voice shaking, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. It wasn't just a joke, Rachel. It was years of jokes, years of being minimized in front of others, and last night, that was it. I can't pretend it doesn't hurt anymore. I stood there, frozen, waiting for the familiar turn of events where he'd laugh it off, hug me, and we'd go on. But he didn't. He left, and for the first time, I realized something I had been blind to. The calm, patient man I had always underestimated had limits, and I had crossed them. The next days were unbearable. Calls went unanswered. Texts ignored. I reached out to his friends, hoping someone would tell me he was just cooling off, that he'd come back. But no one reassured me. It was real. He was gone, and it was all my fault.